Okay.
Good afternoon, councillors, officers and members of the public watching on the live stream, and welcome to the Civic and Heritage Events meeting of Stratford-upon-Avon Town Council. The first item on the agenda is to appoint the chairman of the Civic and Heritage Events Committee for the municipal year 2021-22. Do we have any nominations? Councillor Fradgley was first, I think, fractionally.
May I nominate Councillor Kate Rolfe, please?
Do we have a seconder?
Yeah,
Councillor Cleave?
Yeah, I'd like to second that.
In that case, do we have any other nominations? I'll take that as a no. In that case, then can we vote to elect Councillor Rolfe as the chairman of the Civic and Heritage and Events Committee for the municipal year 2021-22, please? And that is unanimous. Thank you very much. In Kate's absence, and I think on behalf of the Town Council, we'd all like to wish her a very speedy recovery and hope to see her back at our meetings as soon as possible. We'll move on to electing the deputy chairman. Do we have any nominations? Councillor Cleave.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Alcock.
Thank you very much. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Fradgley. Thank you very much. Do we have any other nominations? In that case, then, can we vote to elect Councillor Alcock as the deputy chair for the Civic, Heritage and Events Committee for the municipal year 2021-22, please? And that is unanimous. In that case, obviously, both of these decisions will be ratified at the full Town Council meeting. And on that, I will hand over to Councillor Alcock. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, councillors. Right, second on the agenda is apologies for absence. Civic officer, do we have any apologies for absence, please?
Yes, Madam Deputy Chairman, from councillors Mackenzie, Rolfe, Voss, Wall and Warren Howes.
Right, thank you, Civic officer. Third on the agenda, then please, do we have any declarations of interest for items on the agenda? No, that's all good. To receive written requests for dispensations, I haven't had any, so won't be granting any. So on to number 6, public participation. Do we have any members of the public who wish to speak, Civic officer?
We have no one who's registered.
Thank you. Then on to item 7, to approve the draft open minutes of the meeting of the Civic, Heritage and Events Committee that was held on the 11th of May. And is everybody happy to approve those minutes? Show of hands, yes. Thank you, everybody. Minutes are approved. And then to approve the draft open minutes of the website, social media and newsletter subgroup held on the 8th of June 2021. Everybody happy that those minutes are approved? Yes, thank you very much. Charles, are you happy to do the necessary signing, etc.?
Certainly, Madam Chairman.
Thank you very much. Right.
You've got one more.
All right, I'm there. I may be a bit rusty. Give me a chance, please. And item number 9 on the agenda, to approve the draft open minutes of the Market Forum meeting held on the 12th of March. Now, approval for these minutes was deferred at the meeting for 11th of May for further clarification. Is everybody happy now that the minutes are approved? Yes, everybody happy? Okay, that's approved then. Thank you, Civic officer, if you could sort that one. Right. On to item 10. Town Clerk's open report. Right, 10.1, NHS Frontline Workers Day on the 4th and the 5th of July. We have, if you've read the town clerk's report, you'll see what was noted there to note. Does anybody have anything to say about them? Everybody happy to note the report? Noted, thank you very much. Item 10.2, the SIL projects. To note the report as a spreadsheet attached as Appendix A. Has anybody got any comments regarding those? No, everybody happy? Okay, noted report then. Thank you very much. Just bear with me one moment. I'll check my agenda again. Item 10.3, a task and finish group. This is in relation to the task and finish group met on the 8th of June and are looking to obtain selection of higher tariffs from local venues. They've had to currently postpone, so we are still currently noting that report until we can get the further information.
Noted.
Is everybody happy to note that?
Noted.
Okay, thank you all very much. Okay. The report on the 600th anniversary tree at the Guild Chapel. Again, it is for noting, but we should be able to hopefully get a tree shortly, I believe. Jenny, do you have a question, Councillor Fadgley?
Yes, could the clerk actually give a brief update on that tree, because we did talk about it some time ago and we did decide on a holly tree.
We did, through you, Madam Chairman. The tree has arrived. It's been purchased exactly the variety that was requested. The difficulty currently is that although we were trying to get a faux lead container to put it in, they just don't make them large enough to allow the tree to mature. And so I am currently on the case of trying to identify other alternatives, and I hope that by our next meeting, if not before, if I come up with a selection, I will obviously email everyone to put you in the picture, because the sooner we can get this sorted out, the better.
Yes.
Could I just ask, actually, we did have tipped all my IT on the floor. We did have a tree box made, custom built for the tree that we hope to put outside on the corn market as soon as the scaffolding has come down from there. And I believe Tony's got that tree and got the container.
That is very...
Yeah, would it be the right route to go down? I know it's quite expensive.
It's I think it was the best part of £1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if that's what the committee feel.
Well, it is expensive, but you can source better containers.
I've contacted yet another firm today about the different pots. So many, of course, you go on now, and across the images it says currently out of stock.
Yeah.
And I think this is what everybody is finding, that actually even on the internet it isn't quite as clear cut as we would all hope it would be. But I promise you we'll find something hopefully that will be acceptable as quickly as we can.
Thank you for the update.
Thank you for that, Civic Officer. So any more questions regarding the tree? Councillor Cleeve.
Thank you, Chair. Did we say, has it actually been purchased, the tree?
The tree is, yes, the tree is in the cemetery currently growing.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
so what's it? It's safe, as in it's
Oh,
able
absolutely.
to be watered
I don't say Tony's got it alarmed, but he's keeping a very close watch on it and watering it, and he's
Yeah.
saying it's coming on very well.
Okay. It's just it might get harder to plant the longer we delay
Sure,
it. I don't know,
absolutely.
because I know nothing about planting.
No,
But thank you.
I must admit, Councillor Cleve, I have very little knowledge of planting a tree as well, but I do have a lot of faith in Tony and the outdoor spaces team.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Councillor Fadgley.
I believe that Tony actually is working closely with Jason, isn't it, from
Yes.
from the county. And I know the county have got a lot of expertise in forestry and actually are developing that as well, looking at developing growing trees.
yeah, he's the arboreal officer, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's very safe hands there.
Yeah, Jason Toombs. I
Jason
think.
Toombs, that's it.
Very apt for the cemetery, but
Absolutely.
Worked with him in the past is good.
Any further questions, councillors? Okay then, well, that report is noted with comments. Thank you very much. Item 5, the Queen's Platinum Jubilee in 2022. To establish a task and finish group to formulate a programme of activities in connection with the 2022 Platinum Jubilee. This is something that's going to be very exciting for the town. It really is going to be, I think, exactly what the town needs to give it a real big lift and to get, for people to just enjoy themselves again. Fingers crossed for the weather right now. Can I order good weather now? Is that possible, Civic Secretary, Civic Officer? Can I put my request in?
I'll speak to the council chaplain.
Thank you very much. Yes, would any members here like to be considered for the task and finish group? Councillor Cleve?
Yes, I'd definitely like to be a part of it.
Mr. Mayor, I believe you'll be already on there. Excellent. I will be considering it. I just need to check what else I've got on, but I'd quite like to be involved. Councillor Curtis.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I think we've all had this email from Richard Voss. I wouldn't like to nominate Richard in his Councillor Voss in his absence, but I think he may well wish to be involved.
I believe that would be the case as well, Councillor Curtis, yes. Councillor Fadgley.
I was just going to say, actually, should this be advertised out to all other councillors?
Oh, it will be.
Yeah.
Yes, it will be. I'll send the notice out.
Because I think Kate's fairly keen, if she's fit and well and everything. I think she's pretty keen to be on this group as well.
Yeah, great.
I will just add my comments in. I would very much like to put forward for a beacon, the Welcome Hills, where we've done it before in the past, because from stood there, you could actually see the beacons elsewhere being lit, and it was pretty incredible to see. So that would be a suggestion I'd like to put forward. Councillor Cleve.
Yeah, I love the idea of a beacon. Obviously, come June, depending on the weather, we have to consider dry fire, and especially bearing in mind what happened yesterday in Ettington. We've got to consider that, but possibly in June we still have rain, so that's okay. Could I also suggest, and I believe it was in Councillor Voss's email, and I know it's been talked about, is about floats, is potentially a float. And I know that's something Escape Arts would be keen to get involved with. And maybe having a float.
Like a carnival.
A carnival floats, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Councillor Fadgley.
Could I suggest, if we're going to do carnival floats, they ought to be aware of the climate change emergency and not be diesel tractors ploughing through the town with fumes. We ought to be thinking of floats that perhaps are pulled, pushed, or whatever, rather than the old-fashioned lorry floats.
Absolutely. Councillor Cleve.
We did have the was it called a walking float when we did it for the books at the Shakespeare's birthday parade, wasn't it, a few years ago?
Yeah.
I think was it your mayoral year, Councillor Alcock?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yeah, they worked very, very well with the rubbish friends we had there. We had the nurseries,
But yeah, we could organise, make it one per decade or so of the Queen's reign.
Absolutely. That's a great idea. Um,
Good idea. Yeah.
You've got to have somebody walking 2 paces behind.
Actually, yes, who would have to walk 2 paces behind you, Councillor Cleve? Because I believe by then you'll be leading the parade.
That's obviously if I've been voted in. At that
Obviously,
point.
if you voted in, and my goodness me, there was a look of panic that suddenly crossed your face at that moment.
Well, I just thought we can't assume anything. Yes.
Right, we also need to consider planting a tree in support of the Queen's Green Canopy Initiative.
Could I suggest that we start negotiations with whoever to see if we can actually plant a tree in the town, in the ground, rather than planting it elsewhere? Now, planting trees in the town, urban trees, is difficult. I've just been talking to the county about urban trees, and they are difficult. But I think if we actually plan it far enough in advance, perhaps get the district on board. You know, Henley Street, I've always thought we ought to need a couple of more trees there to extend the 6 which they put at the top. So if we could actually sort of think about a real urban tree rather than just a tree in the box or a tree in a park.
Yeah.
Might be difficult, but it would be nice.
I agree too. Mr. Mayor, sorry.
I think Councillor Cleve was just before me, Victoria.
I'll defer to you.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Just to reiterate, I've been approached by Colin Voice, who is one of the street pastors, a benefactor that he's involved with. He has donated a tree that he wants to plant somewhere in Stratford. So he's prepared to donate this to the town if he can find a location to plant it, preferably, which may tie in with what Jenny said, in the town centre itself.
All right.
Councillor
Fradgley.
So we need to know the species of the tree, etc., 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 because a tree going into a town centre has got far more difficulties. I did have somebody who was a street pastor actually, and it might have come who was actually willing to donate some money towards tree planting, and that's still in the background. But we haven't been able to bring that money from him forward yet because we haven't got anywhere to go. So we might, if we do find a town centre place, get perhaps a group of people together that might want to finance it because it's going to be quite a prestigious tree.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Councillor Cleve.
Yeah, I think something like this probably needs to be decided sooner rather than later when it comes to it, because of the issues like with the Captain Tom Rose. We wanted it, but they were all sold out when we wanted to do it, so we didn't get it in time. The same with, obviously, unless I'm wrong, I've seen some frowns from Charles there, so I could be wrong.
Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, the Captain Tom Rose we didn't get in time, did we? Because they were sold out.
Yes, it's in the Tranquility Garden.
Did it come into? Was that what we managed to plant in the end?
We did.
Oh, it did come, fantastic. Because I know when we had the meeting.
Yeah, it was difficult, but we did achieve it. Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah, so that we don't have those difficulties, that we get it sooner rather than later, and the same goes obviously with the planter with this holly tree. So we need to make sure that those are done sooner.
Don't talk to Grandma and Grandad, please.
Can I suggest that we actually perhaps, whoever's going to be organising this, has a talk to Scott Tompkins at County, because he's head of that service, and talk quite seriously about us wanting to do this and get the county on our side. But the Henley Street is obviously district, so it's going to have to be a cross council conversation.
But it would be nice to think, even if we got a lot of different agencies in the town to donate a tree, to plant a small copse of trees somewhere. I totally agree with you, Councillor Fradgley, that something in the town would be lovely.
Yeah.
But to support the Green Canopy Initiative, even if we had, you would think must be somewhere that we could identify.
Yeah.
Madam Chairman.
You're muted.
Sorry, apologies. Councillor Curtis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just sent something last week by my good lady, the boss. Mini forests. Have you, Jenny? Do you know those? You're nodding your head.
Well,
Sort of forests about the size of a tennis court, densely planted, and they create their own habitat. And I was wondering, you can plant a lot of trees, but also wonder if this could also tie in with some of those areas that we previously identified for wildflower meadows. And we could look at if any of those areas that have been identified as for wildflowering could, perhaps one or two of them could be a mini forest.
That's an interesting idea.
So may I ask that, Madam Chair?
Yes, Councillor Curtis.
It's the county are moving quite slowly at the moment. The Climate Change Group has put in for a Green Shoots grant to do wilding across the town, as you very well know. That hasn't come through yet. The county has a project to plant a tree for every person living in Warwickshire. So that's a huge number of trees. So they're actually hoping to do that over a 10-year period. What I'm not sure about mini forests too close to towns or whatever. They're very, very averse to trees going in places where there would be maintenance issues, etc., etc. But I do think that we ought to have this conversation with the forestry element at the county to understand exactly what we can and can't do, and then look for land that we can actually plant trees on.
Yes, agreed.
But that's going to be quite a bit of work to get done before we actually know exactly where we can go with it.
Civic officer.
Could we perhaps get Scott Tompkins to come to either the next meeting or the one after to talk it through with us?
Yeah.
See, would that be good, a face-to-face or?
Yes, please. I think that would work very well. Thank you. It's very good. Right, as I did say, I am very rusty at chairing meetings. You will have to excuse me. If I could just go back to the beacon. Do the committee wish for the beacon? I believe you need a vote on it. Is that correct, Civic Officer?
That's correct, yes.
Right, okay. So to approve a lighting of a beacon on the 2nd of June, venue to be determined.
Providing it's safe.
Yeah, I was just going to add the providing it's safe due to the.
Of course.
Providing it is safe to do so. Yes, absolutely. Can I have a proposer for that, please? Oh, don't all jump at once.
I'm happy to propose what you've just said, so that we approve the beacon, providing it's safe and secure to do so.
Thank you, Councillor Cleve. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And all in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Right. Next thing to discuss is a street party. Do we wish for Stratford to have a street party or a party in the park? Councillor Cleve, I think we sat on the same committee to organise a party in the park. That didn't go ahead, unfortunately. Despite whether members would wish to go down that route again. Councillor Cleve.
I think from an organisation point of view, if we're organising something, I think party in the park will probably be easier. That doesn't obviously stop communities organising their own street parties, but for us to organise it, I think one at the park would be a really good idea.
Yeah, I agree, actually, yes.
And
also, as you'll see at the bottom of the town clerk's comment about the bunting that we had bought for originally, I think it was the VE Day. Thank you. It was the VE Day celebration. We've got the bunting. We can use it. I think between us, Councillor Cleve, we know enough performers who will quite happily come along for the day. Yes, Councillor Fudgley.
I was just going to say, as I can remember actually being at the street party for the celebration of the Queen, actually taking up her position as Queen, and the pageant that happened then, the planting of a copse of trees in Sutton Park, opposite where we lived, which over my lifetime I've actually watched grow into a forest. Yeah, it's a street party would be quite nice, but I do think it's more practical to have a party in the park, because as many people as want can come to it, and it doesn't have the same sort of difficulties as arranging a street party.
I agree actually with that, definitely. Councillor Cleeve.
I was just going to say, back then, not saying you're old, there weren't as many cars around. I remember the Silver Jubilee, we were having them in 1977. So yeah, same thing. It was a lot easier then, not so easy now. So I do think something in the park makes it a lot easier.
Civic officer.
The one that we had in 2012 was very successful. In Keith Lloyd's year, we had handheld Union flags and brass bands in the bandstand and a beautiful weather like this, but it really created a lovely atmosphere, and the district were very supportive in letting us use the land, and the town trust supported us by waiving the cost of the bandstand. So all in all, I totally agree with what's being said. I think for practical issues, we can sort of contain it and encourage people not to all be necessarily grouped in the same place. They can just sit and enjoy the atmosphere of what's going on.
I agree, definitely. Yes. So can I have a proposal then, please, councillors? Councillor Fradgley?
I propose that we look to organise a party in the park for this occasion.
Thank you very much. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Cleeve, thank you very much. And all in favour? That is unanimous. Thank you very much. And then if we put out for a task and finish group from all the councillors to get a group together to actually do the organisation.
Yep.
Lovely. Right. Item number 6, Remembrance Sunday. Obviously, this does take work to organise. We do hope it could be live as well. Civic Secretary, we could note this report. Is there anything you need from this committee to be able to go ahead?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I was just really making you aware that the Safety Advisory Group had been convened, and therefore Richard Lees and I will attend that, as we always do. I think they seemingly have a lot of confidence that we know what we're doing. And at the very best, we want it to be a live event, as it always has been. But even if it still has to be, we don't know what the health position will be by November. But we had a very, I feel, robust second plan in place last time for just having smaller groups in pods around. I know it wasn't ideal, but as you know, in the end of the day, we had to even pull the plug on that, and we had to pre-record. Well, I'm hopeful that we can at least have a live event of some kind, but I just wanted you to be aware that things are moving along in the background.
Thank you, Civic Officer. Any questions, councillors? Okay, excellent. Right. Item number 7 on the Victorian Christmas market. This is to note the update. Yes, I'm very much looking forward to wearing my Victorian dress again. Not want to leave it alone for any length of time. Councillors, do you have any questions on the report? Are you happy to note that? Councillor Cleeve.
Just if the worst happens and we end back in a lockdown again, what have we got? Any contingency plans, or will it just be cancelled? Has that been discussed yet? Obviously, we hope that it doesn't.
Sarah's not on this, is she?
No.
Oh, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Well, personally, if we look at the experience of when we first went into the pandemic, then obviously we were in the process of planning the market at that point. And when the restrictions changed, as with many events nationally, they were cancelled. So I would imagine the same contingency plan will be put in place. Hopefully we won't be in that situation, but if restrictions change to the level that it didn't allow events of that size, sadly, I think we would have to do exactly the same as we had done the previous year and cancel it.
Yeah. Is there anything being discussed about that, Civic Officer?
No, it's just a note.
Just note what we've got at the moment.
As it stands at the moment, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bear with me. Right, then the date of the next meeting is Tuesday the 14th of September at 6 p.m. via Zoom, or 6:30 if physical meetings at the town hall resume, which I think the plan is to have that, possibly have that happen. So it could be we can meet then. Councillor Fradgley.
I just find a meeting like this on Zoom incredibly efficient, makes best use of time, makes best use of travelling time. And I just think the meetings that we can have by Zoom, if we can continue them, I would actually promote that, because we've all got incredibly busy lives, and actually fitting it in by Zoom does work quite well.
I believe that's going to be discussed at the town council meeting.
Oh, right.
I think that is on the agenda. Is that correct, Mr. Mayor?
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
Yes. So either way, we will.
Yeah, just stating my case up front.
Councillor Curtis.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I completely agree with Councillor Fradgley here. There seem where we are able to have meetings online. I see absolutely no reason really to introduce, given the climate change emergency and all the rest of it, it seems like an extremely good way of continuing business. I'd prefer to see a strong case being put to resume these meetings face to face, rather than having to justify continuing them face to face, continuing them online. But as you say, it will be discussed at the council. But
it will be, and then either way, that's when the next meeting will be. Were there any other questions, councillors? Civic Officer, is everything cleared up and signed for?
Sorry, Madam Chairman, sorry.
Just say that, see, if we've conducted all the meeting work, is everything the way you wish it to be?
Yes, thank you. I mean, obviously the appointments of the chairman and deputy chairman will be ratified at next week's town council.
Yes, absolutely. Though if there's nothing else to say then I will say have a nice rest of the day, councillors and public who are watching, and we'll reconvene at the next meeting. Thank you all very much for your time today.
Thank
I will
you.
now stop the live stream.